Everyone. This is day 1 of 3 on intuitive eating and body image. So today is going to be a little bit interactive. There will be a activity at the end. We'll go through a few slides first, and then you'll have a pretty clear idea of the activity, and you can feel free to comment or drop anything here if you have a chat box, and let me know what's going on for you. So day 1, intuitive eating is honoring your health by listening and responding to direct messages of the body so that the body gets its needs met. And this is the definition given by the founders of intuitive eating, Evelyn Tribole and Elise Reich. So this is the book here if you're interested in it. The thing is, some of the obstacles to intuitive eating include the lack of interoceptive awareness, thoughts, belief systems, dieting, fears, food rules, judgments, and many more things. But these are some of the top ones. And I wonder if you can think of which ones really affect you the most. What gets in the way for you when you think about intuitive eating? Maybe it's the initial fear, right? Like there's a lot to be said about the fear of moving from those really rigid, constructed diets to something that has a lot more flow and a lot less structure, although it ends up being much better for you in the end. So something I hear a lot is if I let myself what my body's telling me, then I would eat an entire pizza. So a couple things I want to say here. One, most likely that wouldn't happen, right? And we might think so because we feel like if we have the opportunity, we're going to eat whatever we're craving. And that might be true, right? And part of intuitive eating is going with the cravings, is going with what your body's wanting. I think people fear that it's going to be this really out of control experience. And, I want you to notice the craving. And if you're craving pizza, eat the pizza, right? The whole thing in one sitting generally doesn't happen when you're eating intuitively. It happens when you're eating mindlessly or eating emotionally. And this is really the opposite of what the intuitive eating process helps you to learn and understand. The other thing is, if that is the case, right? If you do let yourself have what you're wanting and you do eat pizza and you do have that entire pizza, don't judge it, right? What happens so much is we feel so much deprivation living in the world that we do, where everything is diets, everything is restriction, everything is fear around food, that when we initially give ourselves this unconditional permission, we might eat more than we normally would, right? We might eat more than our intuitive eater, right? Our inner intuitive eater wants. And that's okay. And that's normal to happen in the beginning, because when we go from a state of deprivation to permission, right? Like you're going to have that almost Last Supper mentality. You're going to feel like, well, if I'm either going to have to go back to this restrictive thing, I need to eat as much as I can, right? I'm finally allowed to have this pizza. I'm going to eat as much of it as I can. Or you might be moving into intuitive eating from a space of really being in a biological deprivation, right? If you're chronically dieting before you move into the space of intuitive eating, you're in a space of deprivation. Your body is saying, oh my God, I need food and I need it now. So you're actually going to give me what I'm craving? Oh my God, I am taking advantage, right? I need to eat all of it. It's like if you hold your breath, right? Take a big deep breath in and you hold your breath. Eventually, if you aren't allowing any breath in and you keep holding, you're going to be gasping for air. And that's going to be a really big, intense breath. So that's what happens when we move from deprivation into a space of abundance. So when we work with unconditional permission and we don't have any judgment around it, and we allow ourselves to eat intuitively, right? We have to first move away from the diet mentality, right? Step one is to reject the diet mentality. And once you can do that and you start eating intuitively or you start eating with unconditional permission, you'll notice that if you don't feel deprived, you usually don't eat more than what feels comfortably full. The other thing is, if you do end up eating that entire pizza, right? Just notice. Notice if that was true hunger, right? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was extreme hunger from deprivation. Maybe it was eating mindlessly. Maybe it was real hunger and your body is like, wow, I really needed that. But what would happen if you take the judgment and the shame out of it? That spins you in a shame cycle and you just notice it. Notice what that true hunger feels like. Notice if, it was from true hunger or not. And then this is important. So catch yourself. When you are judging or shaming your food or your body, notice it, catch it, start to catch that thought process, right? And once you're doing that, you're going to call on your food anthropologist, your nurturer. And I'm going to show you what you can do when you're calling on those parts of you. And it comes up a bit here, right? So what to do when this happens, right? And what I always say is to dialogue. That's one of the first things and something that I really love. And it gets you in touch with all these different parts. And in intuitive eating, they talk about a lot of these parts as the food anthropologist, the nutrition ally, the rebel ally, and the nurturer. There are a few parts as well, right? We have like the food police, we have the diet rebel, the nutrition informant, and those are some of the inner dialogues, right? Those are some of the diet mentality, thoughts, beliefs, fears. Those are the ones that are going to pop up and be really loud, right? Your nutrition informant, your diet rebel, your food police. Those are the ones that kind of are going to be chiming in your ear. The food anthropologist, the nutrition ally, the rebel ally, and the nurturer are more of the ones that are helping you heal yourself. So here's an example, right? I used the same example we have here about eating the pizza. And it says, I ate an entire pizza. I'm so bad at intuitive eating and I can't trust myself. So, how this dialogue would work is the nurture inside, that part would say, it's going to take time to unlearn something that, I've learned over the course of so many years, but it doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make me untrustworthy. And that I'm more trustworthy because I'm actually doing my best and I'm doing the things to honor my body. I'm human. I'm not going to be perfect all the time. But I trust myself more because I have this intention and actually acting and doing the things to become an intuitive eater rather than shoving it under the rug, rather than beating myself up. That is more trustworthy. And that shame piece might still come in and have something to say. And it says, something along the lines of, but if you keep on like this, you'll gain weight. And we can't let that happen, right? And this might be your food police. And the fear of gaining weight is going to chime in on your shoulder. So the nurture in this example would say something like, I know that my body doesn't define my worth. I've tried restricting and dieting before, and it hasn't worked. So I'm trusting my body and the process. No matter what my body looks like, I can remember, I don't have a soul. I am a soul. I have a body, right? Like, I am not my body. I am my soul. I have a body. I am not my body. And this can go on and on for as long as it's still coming through to you. And it might look different than this looks right here. This is just an example. So here the shame comes back in and it says, well, at least the diet and the rules keep you in line so that you don't get fat and lazy and let yourself eat anything. Are you really going to trust unconditional permission? Come on. And this is really harsh, right? I know it's something that none of you would say to your friends or your family, but a lot of times our inner food police, our inner nutrition our inner nutrition informant or our diet rebel, like they can be really harsh and really mean to us. That part of you, that part inside that really feels such shame and such so attached to the rules and to the diet mentality, you can really beat yourself up and berate yourself like this. So I wanna point out that this is really harsh. And I put it here because sometimes those inner voices are really harsh. And so the nurturer might say something back like, I no longer subscribe to all the put downs and all the shaming of diet culture, right? Fat doesn't mean bad, it doesn't mean lazy. And I would rather learn how to make peace with food and my body, even if it feels really hard and really uncomfortable and really scary at first, than live my life being really limited by the diets, by the restriction, by the binging, the purging, whatever that is for you, right? Whatever that behavior is. And when you do these types of dialogues, it's so important that the healing part, right? Whether that's the nurture, the nutrition ally, the, intuitive eater, whichever it is, always has to have the last word. No matter what, always leave off with the healing part of you making that last statement. So with that, I want to leave it to you and say, what are your biggest obstacles in intuitive eating? What makes you afraid to start intuitive eating? What are you afraid might happen? What is the biggest obstacle for you? And I'll give you a moment here if you want to grab a pen and paper and write it down. And I can go back to some of the major obstacles that I see often. And once you notice and you've kind of identified which obstacle feels like it affects you the most right now, I want you to come up with an example of something that you might say to yourself, right? An example, I use the example, I ate an entire pizza. I'm so bad at intuitive eating and I can't trust myself, right? So based on your obstacle, I want you to write out something that you often say to yourself in relation to that obstacle. And again, you can feel free to comment it in the chat. You can direct message it to me if that feels safer for you. But but feel free to share. And once you've gotten that statement that you often hear yourself saying, your inner dialogue, I want you to come up with a kind of a comeback statement, right? So do you want to talk to your talk through your nurture, which is really that loving, caring, kind side, that part? The food anthropologist, right, who is more objective, without judgment, just notice, observe. Maybe the rebel ally, the nutrition ally. And the nutrition ally, I feel like it's really important to note that the nutrition ally is not the embodiment of, but look at how many calories you just had. And did you count your macros? It's the exact opposite. Because that's not true nutrition. That's not health. That's not wellness, right? Our nutrition ally is going to say things like, okay, you're in the process, and next time I think I want to have a more balanced meal, or maybe later I'm going to have my dinner with some, I don't know, maybe for you it's going to be some salad or some fruit, or maybe you want something cold since you just had something hot. Whatever it is, your nutrition ally is more so there is a support in your nutritional needs rather than a blaming, shaming part. And see if you can dialogue this out a little bit for yourself, and try to keep coming back through. So if you're using your food anthropologist per se, right? And your food anthropologist replies to this thought or this dialogue that you continuously hear inside your mind, right? And that obstacle. And well, my diet self, whatever that is for you, however you want to name it, isn't gonna just roll over, accept that, and be done. Well, okay then. What would the diet part of you, or the food police, or the rebel inside of you, what would that say back? And keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, letting your food anthropologist really keep trying to challenge and talk it through with that other part. And let, in this case, the food anthropologist had the last word. And so that's what I have for you today. I will be coming back tomorrow, day 2, and we're going to talk a little bit about interoceptive awareness and how to figure out the difference between what is comfortable satiety, what is hunger, what is emotional hunger, and those types of things. So I hope to see you back for day 2, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Bye, guys.